You see, Creative Assembly, my name's Sky. This is what I think you can do with Medieval. The next way you can take it. Read Michael Crichton's timeline and look at look at what he was saying. He said this city didn't exist until a lord, because he realized he had a crossroads here of a sort. He just cleared some land, put up some walls, and said, "Hey, here's a community." I think you can do that the same thing, in the medieval game. It's because you were kind of hinting at it with the farm production thing, and that the more farm production, the more land is cleared, made available, turned into farmland. That's something else, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned it. Establish a rating system for your armies, or for the armies, and so that way you can have armies on various settings of they could just be traveling, or they could be raiding, pillaging. They could be just burning up the land. And so with that development, and these armies roaming around, either pillaging or moving, peacefully, like on a crusade even, that's how they go. But yeah, have it so that the land is covered in thick forests and big old mountains, rugged mountains, and then you can either establish trade or make roads to places. Especially, make roads to places. Make it so that I want to get over that mountain quicker. And same with Rome. So you can lay a road and highlight it, like you do with the cursor, and then it would tell you what you could and couldn't cut through to make your road. And it would also give you a sort of difficulty highlight even. So it's well, I could want something just as straight a line as possible, and it would be basically a tunnel. It'll tell me, okay, well, this is how long it will take to do this, and so that way I can decide what do I want to build in this sort of long-term thing. And that's why I also think you should include a army of workers, or a band of workers. And so I think that would add a really neat new aspect, especially to the strategic unit, and that you have just large groups of guys moving around, and they're work teams, they're tradesmen, and you could have something like these guys are going to be roaming around, and you're going to see them, roaming around, and it's up to you, the player, to decide, okay, do I want to raid these guys, or do I want to let them pass? You could raid them and enslave them, or ransom them off, or even try to impress them into service. You get a certain percentage who would join your military ranks. I have all these other ideas. Sorry. If the different kinds of units you have in your army, the better it'll help you in constructing siege equipment and siege fortifications, because of the whole math thing. But that's kind of a given that if you have catapults, trebuchets, cannons, even to a point guys handling gunpowder of some sort, but also even guys who are handling heavy weapons. That would be a factor in certain constructions, and guys handling light weapons, So as more obscure, as more awkward or whatever, or as critical, as complex the defense structures you're making on your fortifications, which I think that's the key thing, when you have an army roam around, or you have an army roam around, and the army will do whatever the commander of that army says to do, so if the guy says, hey, you're going to eat grass, they'll eat grass, or leave, kind of thing, so you watch your guys disappear. But, using the armies, a lot more should be available, in my opinion, of what you can do. So you can employ an army, and basically use them as a labor force. And then when there's combat, you arm them up and, go into combat. So that's not an issue, and that would be a real interesting way to play it, that you can sneak an army to a position and then ambush another army, a rival army that's at work, or at night. So interesting way you can play it, so just I can just imagine, like, okay, you have a new aspect of gameplay in the warfare, and that here's the workers right in the middle, here's their camp over here, here's the enemy over here, and so it's up to you to, like, get your guys to capture these guys before their force gets to the camp, arms up, and turns into soldiers. And then as a result, when as a unit starts forming, the player can, if it's the rival player or you're being attacked, you decide, okay, do I move these guys or do I let them keep forming up? And like you have random guys, forming up. But anyways, I think it'd be really funny, but and a challenge. Um, different ideas. Different kinds of uprisings, either bandits or a popular rebellion. So as a result, normal bandits, if they're bandits that you drive them off, okay, they disperse. But a popular rebellion would have a fair number of guys, peasants. But if you didn't kill them, those that escaped would go off to another location. So that way you could actually kind of herd a popular rebellion into a rival's territory and let them go ravage their landscape. Because that's the other thing that was always kind of irked me about the fog of war, that if I wasn't looking, I was afraid, okay, there's going to be some guys ravaging my landscape, on my countryside. So it paid for me to be doing stuff like that. God, how else to expand? What I'm proposing is making your game more complex, but I'm one of the guys that, I can appreciate more complexity, but I want it to be interesting. I want there to be like a real, I really am a commander, I really am, just micromanaging the thing and really getting to the point, like, okay, this is what I want everybody to do. Which I'm kind of doing already, but it sucks that I keep having to step in and micromanage, which is why, like, if you made it, the turn play day by day, oh god, man, that's a lot of stuff to do. But I would just, if you just keep the AI or whatever, or who knows, I'm going to be focused on one little spot sometimes. I'm just going to totally disregard other places in my countryside, which can be a good or a bad thing, But it's also kind of a good thing because ultimately, if everything is queued up correctly, you have no need to pay attention to it, and that's what I spend my time doing, playing your game, is, okay, my queues, how are my queues doing, is this city on the right path? So I think having castles and having a community that supports the castle, or that developed because of the castle. Because the other thing to remember, like in Timeline, is that you as a commander basically decide where am I going to create this, this community, which I think would be a really good way to approach it. You have like certain areas that would fall under its influence, but otherwise the community doesn't exist until you create it. And later on, you can have sometimes community will come into